Good, good. All right, let's get into this video. It's going to piss some people off. I'm fine with that. If you're cool with that, let's keep rolling with it. Here's the thing. It's spicy. We're going to talk about the things that judges look for people who claim that they're disabled, but they're not really disabled, because these are classic items that create the likelihood that an individual is applying because they want to get the check, they want to get the health insurance, but they're not really that bad. Let's go for the first one. Number one. You met your pension time. Look, a lot of individuals who hit their pension, they're in a government job, county job, state job, whatever. They get their pension, and then at that point, they file for disability benefits. That's the classic, right? Because if they get their pension check and they get their disability check, then they just keep rolling through that until they hit 67. Then they get their retirement check and swap over. Boom, they got a good life. They got a good thing. When judges look at county job, state job, Fed job, jobs with the government, jobs with the military, when they look at stuff where there's a potential pension attachment, private big corporations, old school union jobs, pension, when they see those jobs, they're thinking, at what point did they take their pension option? What year did they meet their requirement? When the judges hear that they weren't able to continue to work in that job, and they needed another year and a half to get their pension, that's a disabled person. When the judge hears, when did you file? Filed 2 years ago. When did you get your pension? 2 years ago. That's an interesting situation. That's a toughie right there. Next one, you have rich parents. So one of the things that happens with rich kids, right, is that with rich kids, they don't really find their niche until usually farther down the line in life. And that the hobbies of most people kind of sort of become their quasi professions of rich kids, right? Dressage, golf, crap like that, right? So the point is not that I actually hate golf. I like driving the carts around the golf course. I hate golf. I think it's totally moronic. You're you take a stick, you hit a ball, you got a hole. It's just, so many things you could do that are better with your time. Driving around the golf course would be better to me. But again, to each his own for the stick people. Now, with that said, if you have rich parents, right, and it's one of those situations where you've never had a real job, you've never been on real payroll, and you're 30-something years old, that is going to be a blinking flag to the judges. Here's why. They're looking at this thinking, how the hell did this kid get this far without a real job? Or what the rich parents are doing now is they're putting their kids on payroll because they realize what a massive tax advantage that is to shove money towards their kids so that it's protected. So that one is slowly disappearing because basically financial gurus finally woke them up and said, hey, put your kids on payroll. That way you can get that money where it can be protected. Number three, you just had a child and want to be a stay-at-home parent, okay? Here's the bottom line. When the judges ask about your depression, your anxiety, when the judges ask about your degenerative disc disease or your hip dysplasia, your blah, 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 and they say, when did this become so severe that you couldn't work? Oh, Your Honor, it became so severe 2.5 years ago. Oh, okay, gotcha, understood. And when did you have your last child? Oh, 3 years ago. Okay, there we go. Now we got it. Now we understand. It doesn't mean that these people can't be disabled. It doesn't mean that they aren't disabled. It just means there might be some bullshit afoot. You know what I mean? We got to look at this rock. We got to turn it over. We got to throw it a little bit that way and see which way it rolls. There might be some wind that is not puffing in the normal direction here, okay? So pick the rock up, you sniff it. Does it sniff like a duck? Does it not? There you go. All right, next one. Number 4, you are setting yourself up for a long education degree with student loans. That's a ringer right there. You get people who call up, okay, cool. You stopped working, right? Yes, stop working. Okay, just sign up with any academia. Oh, I'm going to be doing a college degree, 4 years. Okay, when did that start? Oh, the moment I stopped working. Okay. All right. There you go. Because remember, if you're in academia, sure, you could be disabled. Absolutely, no doubt about it. But at the same time, you got to ask yourself this. How the hell are you going through college education if it's not intending to go ahead and earn more money down the line? And then the disabled person states back to you, because I want to better myself. I want to learn something I've always wanted to learn. And that's cool and that's great. And it's a little bit cute. But the reality is, you might be a walking, talking bullshit artist. And we got to check it. We got to look at the medical evidence, see what it's showing. Okay. And then those individuals, They know how to play the medical evidence game when it comes to getting doctors to fill out letters. Those people, let me tell you, they got that down. Now, number 5, you have a hobby in video games, but need snack money. This is extremely common for young people. I will state it again. You have a hobby in video games, but you need snack money. So one of the big problems that I run into, one of the things that I see a lot is that there will be kids. And one of the damning things about it, and I've been in quite enough hearings where the judge will say, cool, you play video games? Yes, Your Honor, I play video games. Because, it's in their medical record. They stated that they do that, or they talk about it with their doctors and such. Oh, okay, cool, okay. How many hours a week do you play in the video game? Okay. Do you have any special achievements in the video game? Oh, yes, Your Honor. Are you part of a group or a club in the video game? Oh, yes, Your Honor. I have a playing group. I play with them all the time. Oh, okay. It helps me with my anxiety because I know the people and I interact with them. Okay. But yet every time you go live in the video game, aren't you interacting with new people? Well, I guess so, Your Honor. Blah, 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 blah. The point is, there's definitely a little bit of schmooze, a little bit of controller massaging, if you will, going on there. And, I look out for that stuff. I know what I'm looking for. I'm looking for individuals who basically are looking for a check because of anxiety, depression, panic attacks, crappy upbringing, crappy parents. They play video games all the time. They're hooked on it. Remember, the number one addiction problem in America, video games. By far, more than anything that would be absolutely horrible. It's the number one thing that has its hook in people. Okay, number one. Next one. Number 6. You grew up in a family where your parents were both disabled. So this is an unpleasant one to talk about because it makes it feel like the disabled parents aren't raising an able-bodied child. The reality is, disabled parents, if they're both disabled, you usually end up with a child that's spent a lot of time taking care of them, but has also developed anxiety, depression, panic attacks, etc. themselves. And this is a child who basically then is filing for disability benefits to claim attachment as well. Now, with that said, disabled parents can raise kids just as well for the most part as anybody else. But there is definitely a higher percentage of kids resulting from disabled parents that lean towards disability than not. And the reason why, to be fair, is that they see their parents, they understand that their parents aren't working, the money comes in, it's magically there. So the idea of having to work for that money is different, because when their parents give them some money, right, it's from a disability check that, they paid into from in the past, whatever, or they're part of the military, etc. But still, there's a missing connection between going out, having a boss named Karen or Dale or Shaniqua or Ty or whatever, and having to suck up to that boss to go ahead and basically make sure you don't get fired because you accidentally broke 3 rules 3 days ago. There's a difference there between that. Now, with that said, do a lot of those kids end up having really bad anxiety, depression, panic attacks, schizoaffective, schizophrenia, etc.? They do. I don't know what maybe there's a study on it. I haven't seen one specifically to it, but it would be an interesting study to have because it might be something that, it's little changes makes them super able-bodied, super achievers for the disabled, for their, parents, for the elderly, etc. So there might be something there. I don't know. I'm not going to have enough time to go ahead and save the world, but if there's an article, I'll definitely read the statistics on it. Kevin, thank you for the $5 donation. I super appreciate it. Can you get both supplemental security income and Social Security? Yeah. So the only time you get to add SSI to SSDI or SSI to retirement or SSI to anything is when your benefits are basically under $1,000. And they use SSI to bolster you to a bare minimum of essentially $1,000. But then you get stuck with all those crappy SSI rules that attach to basically you getting that monthly check over and over. So indeed. But thank you for the $5 donation. I super appreciate that. It's very awesome. Now we go to the next one. 7, you were injured back in the day, but you recovered enough to go back to work. But to be fair, you don't want to have to keep going to work. We see a lot of those individuals. They get injured. They're not happy. Work sucks. Career didn't work out. Boss is on them, ready to terminate them, and boop, right there. and maybe they are disabled, maybe they're not. But right there, they're saying, you know what? It's time. It's time to get a disability check. That one does pop up. We see it a lot. If they're getting truly fired or they're really in that situation, there's usually a causal nexus, a connection there. That is good to look into, figure out exactly why they're unable to do the job. The problem with those individuals is you always see them stop that job and never get a job thereafter. And that is the kiss of death when you're going in front of a judge, because the judge is looking at that to say, well, did you try to find another job, or did you just flat out pull back and not work thereafter? All right. Number 8, you had an impairment when you were younger, maybe even a disability check when you were younger, and you are stressed and you wanted to slow things down. One of the things that happens with people who are kids who get a disability check, and remember, this is more so accurate for people who go past 22, 23, 24, 25, 26 on a disability check, and they decide, you know what, I need money. I want money. I want to go date somebody. I want to impress a girl. I want to go ahead and go to this Disney park, whatever, blah, 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 blah. So as a result of that, what you end up with is a situation where, to be fair, the person wants to go back to work. So they start working in that direction. They work their way off of benefits, and then boop, they hit 36, 37. They're like, man, I'm worn out. I don't like this at all. And they begin the process to try and get back onto disability to have the check. They'd rather live with less than have to put up with, of course, the jobs, the bosses, all that jazz. That is another thing that we see, that we look for to say, okay, is this person really disabled or are they not? All right, number 9, you make money off the books and no one is going to catch you getting paid or doing the job. All right, let's go into that real quick. There's a lot of people, especially in low-income areas, right? So in this particular Central Florida area, you're looking at Bithlo, you're looking at Pine Hills. If you got a job, it's off the table. Nobody's going to catch you doing the job. Nobody's going to catch you getting paid. A lot of those individuals are seeking to get disability benefits. They try to file to try and obtain it, right? They'll go ahead and sit in, basically one of the mental health facilities, behavioral facilities for a while and try and get attachment for that check. That way they get their income and they also get their check. This is something we see. It is commonplace. It is something judges look for. Number 10, you have mental impairments and you have researched them to the nth, even though they're not really at the severity level that the SSA is looking for. And then as a result of constantly researching them, you take on some of those symptoms as a result of your research, and you become more of that person. We get a lot of those people. And I got to be honest with you, sometimes the doctors catch them, sometimes the doctors don't catch them. But the bottom line is they won't have symptoms. They'll get really educated in their particular impairment and the studies related to it. They'll read a lot, right? They'll read a lot about their particular impairment. And then all of a sudden, they'll start attaching those things that are traditionally found to what they claim to be their symptoms. They're not going to be able to claim signs, but they will attach symptoms. And that's what the judges are looking for to see, essentially, if this is an individual that is truly severely disabled or not. Kevin asked, adult child care benefits, when will I receive my first paycheck? And when my dad retired since I was disabled at age 19, yeah, you got to have a disabled parent, a retired parent, or a terminated parent, terminal. So bottom line is whenever he becomes one of those, it sounds like he's retired, so you should be able to opt in. So all right, with that, because it's when he's retiring, you can opt into those things. But it's a Title II take, right? So, but you're not really taking away from what he could get. He gets the same amount what he's going to get anyways. You're just tapping into what he paid into the system as a DACer. Okay. All right, guys, I will catch you a little bit later. Again, thank you for the $5 donation. That's absolutely awesome. With that said, I will catch you a little bit later. I will catch you the next video. Now, the next video is, I think it's a good one. I think it's going to be a pretty straightforward one. I feel like this video was more controversial, a little bit more sassy-pantsy kind of stuff, but it's also the things that judges usually look for. The next video is, are you prepared enough for your hearing? Which will give you kind of the balancing effect, because there is a balancing effect of being too prepared and not seeing legit and being, underprepared, which most of them are. So with that said, I will catch you guys a little bit later. Kevin, what you want to do is call the local field office. You want to notify them. And Kevin, let me check the other one. Adult child, are you already on DACs? Have you already filed for DACs? That's dependent on essentially when you're going to get them too, because you have to be ready and rolling with them already filed, ready to go when all this stuff comes down for the disabled, retired, or terminal. So, it depends, and you might be able to go back and stuff like that. But the bottom line is next July, Kevin, SSA 4 form tonight. SSA 4 form. Wait, next July. Oh, so that's like a year away. Get it submitted. That way you can at least claim that you were beginning the process. SSA 4 form. Okay, get an 827 on there, 3368 in there. You should be good to eat the Cheerios, live the dream, and yada yada. All right. With that said, we're going to go to the next video. Give me about 7-10 minutes to go ahead and prep for that one. And by prep, I mean make sure the dogs can go outside and be happy. I will catch you at the next video. Please remember to like and subscribe. Please go to Disability Resolution on Google. You go to Google, you type in Disability Resolution Law Firm. You throw some stars up there on the reviews. I always appreciate it. Final thought, I go live on Mondays and Thursdays. We will go live tonight to answer questions live, which is absolute insanity. And also very important, if you want a private session, the mini contract is below. I will catch you at the next video. Give me about 7 to 10 minutes, and I will see you soon. Attorney Walter Hnot, thank you so much, and we'll have fun later. Thank you so much. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.